Parshat Shoftim, in our Parsha, there's a whole group or grouping of prohibitions that the Torah tells us you're not allowed to do, that it has really one common denominator, and that common denominator is really the desire of men to break out the boundaries of the unknown. You know, we want to get into the unknown. We want to know. The pasuk tells us, "Ki ata ba el haaretz asher Hashem Elokecha noten lach." You're coming to the land in which God is giving you. Lo tilmad la'asot ketoavat hagoyim hahem. Don't do what the nations, the abominations of the nations, what they're doing. Lo yimatzeh b'cha ma'avir beno bito ba'esh. Don't take any part of those ludicrous ceremonies that they used to do, passing babies over the fire, maybe even throwing them over the fire. We're not quite sure exactly what they used to do. Kosem ksamim, magic, me'onen u'menachesh u'mechashef, v'chover chever, v'shoel ov, v'yedoni, v'doresh el hametim. Any kind of magic extravaganza that you might get there with different ways to do so, talking to the dead, tarot cards, magic, even trickery that you do. You know, you should know that what we call, magic shows, even if you're going to tell the people how you do it, the fi halacha, you're not supposed to do. And that's something that we should stay on. So the question is, of course, why? What's the big deal? And the pasuk tells us, "Ki to'avat Hashem kol oseh." It's an abomination to God, anybody who does those things. Ubiglal hato'avot ha'ele, Hashem Elokecha marish otam mipanecha. And because those things, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to push them out of the land, and you're going to inherit that land. In other words, of course, the land of Israel. And he continues, it says, Tamim tiyeh Hashem Elokecha. Well, we'll see what exactly Tamim is, but you should be Tamim with God, and that's in Deuteronomy, not do the right thing, in Deuteronomy, Perek Yudchet over there. So the parasha is very bizarre and very weird, and just by the question is, why is it that when I'm making an effort to know what the future holds for me, why is that an abomination? Really, what's so bad about this thing? I want to know what's going to happen in the future. Maybe there's something good, so I'll be jolly to something happening. Or maybe there's something bad, so I could prepare for what is coming. What's so bad about that? So a few possibilities, few ways to deal, with that thing. So one possibility is really to see all those practices as a format of or different aspects of what we call idol worshiping. Whether it's going to the dead or giving powers or attributes to other things and so on. So it's a part of what the idol worshiping people, that's what they used to do. So that's a part of the practices of that. And the Rambam brings that list of prohibitions, and he actually includes that in what we call Hilchot Avodah Zarah, in the laws of idol worshiping. The Rambam puts it inside over there in Perek Yud Aleph Halachat Et Zayin. And this is really what basically spreading up the whole parasha to us. That's basically what it says there. So the parasha really starts with the isur. First of all, with the isur lalechet bedarkei avodah zara ulehidamot lahem. The prohibition of to go or to practice or to behave in the ways of the idol worshippers, and to try to be like them in any possible way or any way that they do. That's how we start. And and during this time, all these magicians and Ma'aleov is fortune tellers, and those people who speak to the dead, and all these hocus pocus people, they were all idol worshippers. So since they were idol worshippers themselves, and that's what they do, so that's why we should stay away from them. And maybe that's really the source of the prohibition. A second option comes from the words of the Rambam after he presents that list of, and he writes with somewhat of a harsh language. I wouldn't say anger, but with somewhat of a harsh language, and he defines all those practices as kesheker v'chazav v'ta'ut, as a mistake, and it's lying, it's a lie, and it's deceiving. He says, dvarim chasre to'elet, useless practices, sichlut, sheer stupidity, he'ader da'at, basically being an imbecile, tohu v'hevel. I mean, these are very harsh words to just say, just say nonsense. He basically trashes them out. And we should know that awareness has boundaries. What we know is awareness has boundaries to it. And the desire to break those boundaries and to really fulfill that awareness brings us to territories, to areas of lying. I mean, we do so many times to ourselves. And, in our awareness, we find ourselves lying to ourselves and to everybody else. So, but all these practices, the need to break those boundaries leads us to those things. So, according to this, it's not that the avodah zarah, but rather the betrayal in Hakadosh Baruch Hu is the abomination, right? So we would say avodah zarah is the abomination, avodah zarah is the problem, right? As we said beforehand. However, if you would look carefully how the Rambam refers to it in the way he refers to those things, he said something else. He says the abomination is the sheker v'tipshut, the stupidity and dealing with lies. That's the abomination. I mean, there's two different things. One thing is the avodah zarah, idol worshipping, betrayal of God. When you become an idol worshiper, you betray God. I'm going to tell you something else. I know maybe some people were not going to like it, but nothing new. Being secular is also betrayal of God. Of course, there are different levels of betrayal. But being secular is also a betrayal of God. Lehavdil, right? It's like a woman catches a husband watching porn on his telephone, or actually going to a prostitute. It's two different levels. So that's, Baruch Olam, Kadosh Baruch Hu gave you Torat Emet, endless ocean of magnificent knowledge and ability, and you going to this nonsense, that's an abomination. With all due respect to science, sometimes, you overwrite the Torah with science as well. That's also a form of abomination. With all those questions that we have and so on and so forth. Well, science says, I don't know what science says. Somebody asked me the other day, right, without mentioning names, all right, but now that we know that blah, 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 DNA, so can we determine that a person is Jewish by DNA? No. Halacha says no. The answer is no. Right? That's the bottom line. Halacha. But DNA, science. Okay. Scientist, whoa, my goodness.
Next Thursday.
What is this? Oh, that's a nice one. That's, yeah. It's nice beer. No, I don't like this one. I like the other one, but it's okay. Thank you. Nice beer. Not now. I have a cup with water here. I have to finish the water. So, think about the way we are interacting and what we're doing, and sometimes this duality that exists within us leads us to areas that that are very dangerous and we should not be there. Think about what the Rambam is saying. I read once a book. The guy said, once they used to have demons. Demons. There was this, that. Today the demons are science and technologies. These are the demons that we have today. So even if you're a scientist, and it's very nice to be a scientist. A person is a scientist, biologist, chemist, whatever you have it. That's very nice. But first of all, you're a Jew and you're obligated. And you have to make sure that you don't make yourself new God. And that's called the God of science. You see it many times. And in the name of science, people violate Shabbat, they violate doctors, they violate Shabbat because they think they have gods. And somebody has problems about creations and God because he learned some, ABC about, molecules and, You don't even most of the time you can't even explain your actions. So you're gonna have questions about God from like some crumb that you learned in college, or even if you got a PhD. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. Comparing with the Torah, that's absolutely sheer stupidity. So you gotta be very careful what you call your, what you call your day. What you make your day of. Very, very careful. You have to be very careful. Hello, Avner, you found the Kala? No. Okay, Kala Kveda, Yalla. So, and there's another possibility. A third option is that knowing the future or seeking to know the future, lichora, it might seem that we somewhat along the lines limiting the ability of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Why? Because knowing the future gives us a determinate picture of what's going to be. And in that picture, HaKadosh Baruch Hu does not have an ability to act according to his will, because we already determined what the picture will be. And if you look at it, there's really a good support for this opinion from what we have at the end, when it says to us, Tamim tiyeh Hashem Elokecha, right? Tamim tiyeh Hashem Elokecha. You have to allow HaKadosh Baruch Hu his freedom. You have to know what's your... See, what we have a problem most of the time is to accept the fact that there are limits, and we are limited, and there are boundaries in which we should know what they are, but we should operate within the boundaries. We are spending so much time trying to break the boundaries. And because of that, we don't get anywhere. Instead of just, defining the boundaries, then go run with it. Then just go run with it. Tamim tiyeh Hashem Elokecha. That's, and we haven't yet dealt a little bit with what Tamim is really all about. However, maybe there is a fourth option, which is really a combination of the second and the third options together, and we put it all together. That we should know that the world has limits that we could do things, and there are things in this world that could not be done. Not everything is possible in this world. And there are certain things you cannot do. For example, it's like if you want to live forever, I want to live forever, right? That's maybe a song from the 80s, but you're never going to live forever. There's nothing you can do. You can't go back in time. There's a million things you can do. You can extend your life in the mid-move what's prescribed to you. You can't determine when you're going to come to this world, and so on and so forth. There's so many different things we can do. You can't go to the sun. You're going to burn. However, the Mishnah tells us, there's a Mishnah that is very, very interesting, that tells us the following. The Mishnah goes like this: Ezehi shvuat shav. Shvuah is taking a vow. Of shav is a false vow. What is a false vow? So nishba leshanot et hayadua le'adam. A person swear to change what is known to a man. Amar al ha'amud shel even shehu zahav. He swore that this is, let's say there's a pillar that's made out of stone. Oh, it's made out of gold. Or he swore it was made out of gold. Ve'al ha'ish shehu isha. And the man is a woman, right? What job, you say? Yeah, regardless the governor of Yehovah'sville over there, that is like, it's not a he, it's not a she, it's an it. Ve'al ha'isha shehu ish. And on a woman to be a man. But that's the Mishnah, right? Nishba al davar she'i efshar. He swore on something that is impossible, right? Im lo ra'iti gamal sheporeach ba'avir. You know, that he swore he saw a camel flying in the air. V'im lo ra'iti nachash kekorat beit habad. Korat beit habad is the place where they used to actually make the oil. So there were two stones, gigantic stones, and there was a beam that used to turn it. You know, it's not like 6 by 6 or 4 by 4. It's something like 12 by 12 beam. So a person swore that he saw a snake that fat. Zoi shvuah, shvuat shav shechayavim al zedanot makot ve'al shgagot patur. This called a shvuat shav, that you deserve a lashing for that. And if you want to look further into the Mefarshim, I do encourage you to look into that. Look in Masechet Shvuot, Perek Gimel, Mishnah Chet. And listen, there are facts. And everything in the world, we have a lot of facts in the world. For example, if we have a pillar stone, right? So it's a pillar stone, it's not a golden stone, a pillar, right? A pillar stone. Yeah, whatever. I got a little tired, right? If we have a pillar made out of stone, so it's a pillar that's made out of stone. It's not a pillar that's made out of gold, right? So there's no wiggle room over there. That's a fact. It's a fact. And the same token, a camel flying in the air, it's something that is really impossible. You know, it's something, you can't have camels flying in the air. Therefore, a person who swore and saw a camel in the air, so he was nishba shvuat shav. He's swearing something that is false, and that, I mean, you see, we are defined by those boundaries. What is factual to us? We need to understand also where we're standing. We need to understand where we're standing, and this is almost like a philosophical point that. If you look at the future is a very interesting case, very interesting scenario, because it didn't happen yet. We know that there is a future, but the future did not happen. So, of course, if it did not happen, how could you tell what's going to happen? And if you say, "Oh, I don't know what's going to happen," so why are you looking? I mean, instead of wasting your time on nonsense like this, why don't you do something more beneficial, right? So, since it didn't happen, so it might seem that everything is possible to happen. Everything is possible to happen. When we have endless opportunities for things to occur. That by itself is petrifying us. We are petrified with that. By the way, you should know that all these things, at the bottom line, it all stems to one word. It's called emunah. If you go into fortune tellers and this and that, you know, instead of going there, but you sit down a little bit, sit down with yourself and look at your emunah, because you're not really believing in anything. You might be religious externally, but internally you're not religious. Being religious is not just putting your tefillin on, growing your beards, moving, shuckling when you daven, and so on and so forth, going with the finger, and it'll schmaltz herring on Shabbos. There's more to that, much more to that than what is being religious. Being religious is, first of all, having emunah. And emunah comes from the acknowledgement that there is a God. And God determines, and He defined the boundaries for me. Now, if I have a problem with that, so I want to know the future, because I think I own the future. The future didn't happen yet. That is petrifying to us. We're going to the unknown. And therefore, a person does whatever he can to close those opportunities, to create less opportunities. That's why the concept of karma that they have in the East, he's so opposing the Jewish concept of emunah. That's why we said there's en mazal Israel. The Jews don't live by karma, they don't live by this. The world is yours. Think about it in a different way. I'll give you a different example from a different thing. Where's Jonathan, by the way? If I'm going to tell you that the earth is flat, you're not going to go far into the ocean because you think the earth is flat, you're going to fall. But if you know that the earth is round, you have nothing to worry about. It might be big, but it's round. I'm not going to fall off. So when I know the future, want to know the future, I'm narrowing down all the opportunities for me. As a result of that, nothing could ever happen. I'm basically losing my life. For example, if I'm going to come and tell you, listen, argument's sake, you would never become a Talmid Chacham. What are your chances to learn? 0. But if I'll tell you, listen, there is a great opportunity for you to be, there is a possibility for you to become a Talmid Chacham if you learn, you're actually going to learn. If you're smart, if you're stupid, you're going to go to work, right? But you're actually going to learn. And if you're going to learn, guess what will happen? You will become a Talmid Chacham. Yeah.
If you were to tell me tomorrow, not tomorrow, but like in the future, you'll win $1 million. You don't know how you're going to get to that point. So is it possible that even with knowing the future?
So if I'm going to tell you the interview, why $1 million? Why $1 million? I'm going to tell you like this. I'm going to tell you, Tishma ben Yakirli Ephraim, Tishma, I see in the oracle that you're going to win $100 million.
But you don't know.
Rega, Yaeni Aruchi. I know, the oracles, I put bones under my, I do the whole thing. Now what's going to happen to you? Says, yeah. Are you going to put any effort in your life?
No.
No. So what's going to happen? Are you going to put any effort even to buy a lottery? No, because you're going to win it one day. As a matter of fact, you're going to probably, at 120 best of the world, without making $100 million, you're probably not going to have 100 pennies.
Right.
So, but so we need to be in constant action in this world. We need to be in constant action in this world. Knowing the future, or so-called trying to determine the future, would limit our abilities to actually do something, and we'll become lazy bums. When there is no future, there is no hope, there is no reason for me to do anything. For example, listen to what I'm saying. Listen first. In Soviet Russia, right? When there was no future, when everything was determined to you, there was no hope. Eventually it fell apart, but there was no hope. America, on the other hand, how do we call America? The land of
Opportunity.
opportunity. Do whatever you want. But you see, regardless of that, even though most of you guys were born here, you really have a Bolshevik mentality in your genes. And it doesn't make a difference where you came from. You could have been born in Baghdad for all I care. But you have to understand, your success is determined by accepting the fact that you don't know the future, but you can make it happen. Because it did not happen yet. Because the future did not happen, you can make it to whatever you want. So, but then again, we don't want that. We want to be limited. And yet when we're limited, we want to break all the other boundaries. So we're always wasting energy. We're going sideways instead of forward. So, and this gives us fear. And we live, it increases our anxiety and so on and so forth. And we are busy all the time closing the opportunities and closing that endless gap that we have. I mean, this vast horizon that we have. We want to look at the world from a needle hole. And sometimes, by the way, some of them the ways are scientific. You go to the doctor diagnoses the disease, right? And he can tell you almost in great certainty that if the person is going to be healthy or is going to die, right? So in other words, you took away God of the equation. So if the doctor tells you you're going to be healthy, you're not going to pray. And if the doctor is going to tell you you're going to die, you're not going to pray either. Where is God in your world? And goes the same thing to your parnasah, rabbotai. The same thing goes to your parnasah. You think that if you're going to get a job, you're going to go to school, you're going to get yourself a fine job or fine occupation. You are secure to make money. You are so wrong. You are so wrong. You also, when you go to college, you don't want to know anything. You're not even thinking about anything. You don't go to college and say, okay, I'm in college now. I'm done with this GREs and with all this stupidity of high school. I'm in the big world. I'm in the ocean now. Let me see what is there. No, I'm going to be dentist, nurse practitioner, nurse anesthesia, I'm going to be an accountant, I'm going to be a lawyer, teacher. Why? I work until 3 o'clock, 3:30, make my money, come home. You just killed it. There's so much to know in the world. College, universities, and by the way, colleges themselves are also, with the way they teach you, they don't allow you this anymore. But go explore. You run from one thing to another. And that's why I keep telling you all the time, guys, go and explore the world. Go see, go travel. Go, open your mind. Open your head. By the way, you complained about high school. You bam, running to college. Wait a minute. You have all your life to work. All your miserable life you have to work. You're going to work more than Bnei Israel were in the desert. What is wrong with you? Because mommy is telling you. Mommy telling you also. No, beseder, no. I thought you were weaned already. You don't have to be so attached to mommy. Go travel. Work. Ma yesh lachem. What would you have to give? That's why you're becoming. You know what's decline of the generation? That's not exactly it. You're becoming stupider and stupider. You have nothing to offer. You have all the world in the tip of your fingers, and all you do is pick your nose. Look what you're doing. I'm running to work. I have debts. I can't say you have debts. So what? That will be paid. Get a job, mashgiach, pay your debt. No ma. I'll do something else. So you have that. You know how much you owe God? How come you never think about paying your debt to God? No, you never thought about that. Oh, gotta go. Gotta go to work. Gotta be a good citizen. You're a stupid citizen. Oh, I don't want my parents to yell at me. I don't want this one to yell at me. Okay, so they yell at you. You ever heard of earplugs? So your parents are going to throw you out of the house. Okay, they'll throw you out of the house. Take a RV, fix it up, and travel. Well, what do you want? Nothing will happen to you. You'll be a better man. But you're afraid. You are thinking already about your retirement when you're going to do 67 years old. You're going to be in diapers. That's something to look for. So until then, why won't you just be a man? You don't want freedom. When I tell you that, you don't want freedom. You want destruction, you want chaos, and you want to look at things like this. So you don't, and you sometimes create chaos in your own lives. So you won't be able to go, hey, listen, there's chaos, we can't do anything. It's balagan, You put yourself in shackles, but yet you want to know the future. What do you care about the future? What do you care about the future if you're not going to have one? You already determined what it's going to be. Do you think about those things at all? That's what the Parshat, but it's not me, it's a Parshat. Of course, in most religions, there's a concept. By the way, you guys can open, crack one. It was brought to you to drink, to hydrate. Baruch Hashem, you're tzaddik. And I thought it was Eitan. Eitan had also. Yitzchak. Yalla, the blue moon. Yalla, blue moon. Take you to Jake over there, Big Jake, that left his beard in Montana. So we have the prophet, and the prophet usually, especially, it shows us the way, shows us the path, especially in Jewish sources, which is a very legitimate and appropriate way, in a way to see the future. In other words, to close the opportunities and to tell us what's going to happen. However, if you look very carefully on what the prophets were doing, they didn't really look into the future. Most of them their effort was try to change the present, not to determine the future. To change the present. And if you're not going to change the present, that's what's going to happen. That's the pattern that's going to happen. But then repent, change your ways, and change your ways now. Not then, now. By changing the present. Do you live in the present? You don't live in the present. You don't live in the present. You live in the past, you live in the future. The present, you don't live. And in our parasha, you could really see this war against our desire to so-called lock the future from us, and that's why we need to have the proper balance in our lives, and the way to do so is to remember that whatever happened. That's it. It's finished. It's closed, and to know that the future did not happen, and therefore we need to celebrate the moment. To celebrate right now. Celebrating right now means enjoying what is in front of us in the plate. And if you had like arrows directed and pointing out on awareness, right? It should really be on the future, on the past. I'm sorry, and dynamic life, right? Dynamic life and changing life always have to be to the future. Our tmimut is representing the present. Again, past has passed. The future you strive to, so therefore you don't look back, you look forward. But right now, you're tamim, we'll see what tamim is. By the way, one of the most famous signs or symbols that the samurais used to use in Japan, anybody knows what it was?
The bug?
The bug. No bug.
The beetle?
The beetle. No, I don't like the beetle so much. The dragonfly. You know why the dragonfly? The dragonfly doesn't go backwards, always fly forwards. So he's a samurai. Always go forward. Your dynamic, your effort should go going forward, not always trying to recreate the past that's finished already. However, right now, you're tamim with Hashem. And that would really that would really give you fulfillment in your life, that would fill your life out by creating an opportunity and opening up your future. And you should know that one of the main reasons that block the opportunities to have a major change in your life. Most people want to change their life, but one of the things that would prevent you from changing your life is, again, being cynical. And being cynical really takes apart anything that is good. And you suspect people always, and their motives, always being bad, expecting bad things to happen, and on any reality that will come, everything that happens is always bad. I mean, look at the media. The media is the ultimate cynical thing. And guys, I stopped listening to radio. Lo מעניין אותי. I don't care about this because I realize it causes damage to the way I view the world. No, I don't care what happens. Trump tweet, he didn't tweet. The NFL kneels, doesn't kneel. אכפת לי מהשטויות האלה, לא מעניין אותי. Everybody's crying. All the time they're crying. Very cynical. It's a very bad thing to do. Cynical and being sarcastic, so maybe one of the worst qualities that a person can acquire to himself. And we live in a reality, it's a very cynical reality. That is basically a disease. It's an infectious disease. And we always think, bad things will happen. Oh, it's really bad. The past was good. The future is bad. The present is horrific. And yet, always the past is good. Last year you complained how bad it is. This year you're saying, last year was great. In the 70s, people, the 70s are terrible. Now people, 70s were hippies, and it was great and wonderful, right? It's always like that. So there's something wrong with you. I mean, completely wrong with you. The good old days. There's no such thing as the good old days. This is the old days and the good that is now. Not realizing that it's good now is also a form of lack of emunah. Because you, not only lack of emunah, you're also very ungrateful. You're not appreciating how good do you have it. It's going to be good there when I'm going to get 5 bedrooms apartment or 5 bedroom house with the 2 acres and a swimming pool and marble floors and this. Then you're going to cry, oh man, I'll spend so much money here. I have debts, I have this, the taxes, and they're killing me, I remember when I was a single guy, right? You always hear those things. That's cynical. That's very, very bad. Stay away from people who are like this. The person who is a cynic, he pretends to be a wise guy. They're always smart. By the way, look at the media, all those like liberals and so on. They're always wise men. There's the dark seed, always like, chachamim kulam, kulanu chachamim, kulanu nevonim. Right? Because he's seen it all, he's done it all, he heard it all, he tasted it all, and there's nobody to teach him anything new in the world. By the way, I'm going to tell you something. When was the last time that somebody asked you a question, or you heard somebody asking somebody a question, and he says, you know what, I really don't have any opinion in the matter, I don't know. You always have something to say. And the bottom line, you don't know anything, but you always have something to say. It's okay, many times, to say, I really don't have any opinion about it. It's okay, don't be afraid. You know everything. That's why you never grow. Nobody can teach you anything. You know everything. You're the best. And you never go anywhere. Forgot which movie. That True Grit. Remember the movie True Grit? With John Wayne.
It's the new one.
That's just a new one. Some class. So he said there's always going to be, I think it was in True Grit. He said there's always going to be somebody who's a faster shooter than you. And there's going to be always somebody who's smarter than you, better look at yours already, right, and so on and so forth. You're not the be-all, end-all. And by the way, that's a freeing idea. You're free. Once you realize you don't have to be the best and hold the best. That's okay, I can be myself for a change. you're never busy being yourself. You're always busy proving things. And guess what? Nobody really cares. Nobody really cares. And in the process, you abandon HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you abandon the Torah, you threw away everything. That's what the Rambam says. You're stupid. You're plain sheer stupidity. So, but if you look at this, really, how much pain is in the heart of the cynical, how much bitterness, misery, and more than that, disappointment. And most of it is over yourself. Of course, there's always somebody to blame, right? So you always blame the internet, you blame the media, you blame TV, you bring politics, you bring politicians, you blame your 6th grade teacher. You, as a list, as much as there is sand in the oceans, so you have people and reasons to blame. Anybody but who? You. Everybody. And of course, there is some truth for that, because we are a part of the world, and so therefore our media is bad. The way we read the news is bad. So you have a choice to just simply turn it off. However, if we have this concept of tmimut, right? Tmimut has very bad PR. In Israel, everybody is afraid to be a friar. Friar means like a sucker, Friar is actually a German word. Like a sucker, like an innocent guy, naive, So it's like, you have to be the sharpest one, and that's why you go to Israel. Everybody is tough there. Why? Because everybody has to be tougher than the other guy. So you have a country of like like stepping on glass there. Everybody your face. Every woman there is like a Shabak operator, like a Mossad operator. Every guy there is like Rambo. Please, I want to go to Iceland. I don't know. Let me go. I'll go to Wyoming. I know people there. 500,000 people. It's pretty alone. It's terrific. It's really in your face because everybody has to do everybody else. So, and that's because nobody wants to be. They say, don't be tamim. Don't be so naive. In other words, in parentheses, when they say naive, they mean don't be so stupid. I don't want to be stupid, so I'm going to be, stark. I'm going to be like a fox. In Israel, it's so crooked. You hear many times people are saying, the Gemara says that a person who is a mamzer, a bastard, they have a certain itch to them to be very like in your face, very mischievous and so on and so forth. Very So they get to somebody, they give him a compliment. Allah is a mamzer, is a mamzeriko. Hello, Habibi, what are you saying? Mamzer, mikarata mamzer. So it doesn't make a difference as long as we are not. And Israel was also mainly to break away from the old, mainly European image of the Jew that mainly associated himself with Torah, and that's what the Gemara in Masechet Megillah writes. He said, "You take the Torah of Adam Israel, they become the worst nation possible. The Torah, you put the chip of Torah to Am Israel, they're very idle. They're different. And it says again in our parasha, it says Tamim tiyeh Hashem Elokecha, and right away people would say no, blah 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 blah, I'm not going to see the future. It's not what it says here. It's ocean of excuses. But if you look at Rashi will tell you Hithalech imo bitmimud. When you walk hand in hand with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, go do this בתמימות. ותצפה לו, and you should expect HaKadosh Baruch Hu, ולא תחקור אחר העתידות. And don't wonder about the future. אלא כל מה שיבוא עליך, קבל בתמימות. Whatever comes upon you, accept with תמימות. ואז תהיה עמו ולחלקו. Only then you're going to be HaKadosh Baruch Hu's nation, you're going to be a part of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. In other words, the person who is tamim is able to accept the future with a smile on his face, in a simple heart, with a unified heart, greeting HaKadosh Baruch Hu, And this is basically the ultimate antidote for being cynical. Now, if you look at the word tamim, if you do look at the dictionary on the word tamim, it will give you a whole list of different things. One of them will be innocent, the other one naive, other one whole, honest, simple, upright, harmless, intuitive, complete, unsophisticated, simple. There is something to it. It's almost like tamim will almost be the wabi-sabi of Judaism, lehavdil. The beauty in simplicity, in not having the need to be extravagant. The beauty, the strength, and you need to be very strong to do that. So therefore, when you are not tamim, when you want to know the future, when you are cynical, when you're critical, when you're sarcastic, you are not strong, you don't have the upper hand. You lost, Kimosabi. You lost, grasshopper. You're weak. And, of course, those cynical and the fortune tellers, those who tell the future, there's a great connection to them. The cynical sees himself as the oracle, as the one who, he's like the mini prophet over there, who knows exactly what everybody's going to do. And by the way, there are people like this who would say something, you would talk to them, they already know what you're going to ask them. Say, I'll tell you. They cut you off. Don't let you speak. They know that you're a waste of their time. He knows what you don't know what I'm going to say. How do you know what I'm going to say? So he's like the mini prophet over there. And he's basically, though, the way he looks at things is very distorted. And he always a very, monotone person. He says everything is bad. Everything for him is black. It's one color person. Black, 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 black. And at the end, everybody's going to get disappointed. It's never going to be good. Nobody's going to come. Nobody's going to come. And therefore, there's no hope for anything. Nothing to look forward to. The tzmimut that the Torah wants us does not contradict with being wise or being intellectual, but direct us to a different approach to life, which calls us to look at things simple, to be optimistic about reality. And that is the base for chokhmah, and that is the base to have good midot. If you don't have this positive outlook in life, you are not going to have good midot. So people who are always bitter, why me, why this, there's a problem. It affects your midot. Life is always bad, always bad, always bad. Life is tough. Life is hard. But I always tell you, it's a big party. But Hashem, we're alive. You want to take the options? You're going to be exempt from all these things. You're going to be gone. We don't want that. So it affects your midot. It affects really who you are. And it's very easy. Again, it's very easy to be those, dark seekers. Everything is bad. And you see it all around. Oh, Trump is the president. Oh, the sky is falling. Obama is the president. Oh, the sky is falling. Comes Zayavo. Everything goes away. Everything is fine at the end. There's a guy, his name is Dr. Chaim Shapira, and it's called being pessimistic, which is really the twin sister of being cynical, as a cognitive laziness. And really you need a lot of courage and a lot of strength to be tamim, to really accept and expect that it's good, that something better is going to come. Otherwise, guys, if it wasn't like this, nothing would have happened. If Am Yisrael, if those, and again, I'm not a Zionist, but if those Zionists could not have hoped for a better reason, today there won't be so cynical in Israel, because there will not be a state of Israel. So you have to hope for something in order for something to happen. If you don't hope for nothing, There's nothing going to happen. Almost like if you build it, they will come. You have to build, you have to have a vision. And then things will happen to you. And good things will happen. You create opportunities. But if you already know whatever comes, that's pretty bad. So, and this is something to really remember, that being tamim is really a healthy attitude to have in life, especially if you mix with it maturity and learning Torah. It really helps the word move forward to the place that it needs to be, and not the negativity. That's really not good. The Rav Kook says that כל התמכרות טבעית לאיזה אידיאל מרומם הוא חזרה אל הילדות. Any addiction to even the highest ideal is really a strive to go back to childhood. And it says כל המעלות היותר עליונות, all the higher qualities, בין המחשבות, whether it's thought, whether it's emotion, whether it's practical, צריך לקושרם בקשר של האמונה הפשוטה הקודמת. You have to tie them and you have to put them together in a bundle, that it all is evolved around emuna, that emuna has to be tmima, hareini ma'amin, and so on and so forth, right? Everything that you do, that you think, has to be involved with emuna, because the internal essence of emunah, tmima, is greater than any other thing you can get in the world. So how do we go back to tmimut, to being tamim, without going back to our childhood, So there's a very practical way to recombine or reintroduce tmimut into our lives, to really connect to this pure place inside of us. And we really need to do so in order to create a dialogue between the internal parts of what we call our soul, our nefesh. And Rabbi Yitzchak Mivorki says the following: Shlosha dvarim aleinu lilmod mitinok. We need to learn three things from a baby. Hadavar harishon, the first thing, kaasher hu raev uboche. When the baby is hungry, it's crying. Kach gamanu. Same thing to us. Im ein lanu parnasa, alenu nifkot lakach lifnei Hashem. Cry to Hashem, He'll give you parnasa. Because it all comes from Him. Hadavar hasheni, the second one, tinok leolam eino mitbatel. A baby is never sitting idle, and it's something that is very appropriate for us to learn. You take a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old, they're always running, picking stuff, always in motion, always in action. If you see a baby sitting down in the corner, something is bad, something is wrong, go take care of him immediately. A child is always in action, always in movement. The third one, he says, Hatinoku chasar da'agot. A baby does not worry. We also don't need to worry so much. We need to be besimcha, like a child, like a baby. So when the future is open, and you understand that the future holds everything, there is no worry in the present. There's nothing missing in the present. So if you, by the way, always feel that you, let's say, need to buy things, to spend, and so on and so forth, that means that somewhere along the line you don't see a future quite clear. That's why you feel that lacking in the present now. That's why you buy all this stuff and you do all these materialistic things, because you really don't see a future for yourself. Most likely because you don't have a proper emunah. And that is, when a person is, for example, hungry and doesn't think about the future, he thinks about something that he has now. He goes to the store, he buys bread or buys whatever, and he eats. So I don't think about the future. And on the other hand, I don't have any worries. The worry is creating the future in dark colors and scary and intimidating colors. But if the future is open, everything can happen, including good things can happen. And since anything can happen, I can change and determine the future as I see fit. It is up to me. So if people will tell you this shenanigans, especially in the shidduch business today, oh, if you don't do this, you don't get married. Nobody will marry you. That's just something that belongs to your grandmother. You know, there's like scary, fairy tale to tell you, if you're not going to finish your plate, there's going to be a big demon coming and chasing you, you know. If you're not going to do this, nobody's going to marry you. Who is the one who's making shidduchim? Huh? Your grandmother? The Shadchan in Borough Park? Who is making shidduchim? HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But if that's what you think, that's what will happen. You're right. You're going to create this energy inside of you that's going to push everybody around from you. You guys have absolutely bitachon that the right one will come at the right time. Sometimes they come and you don't want them, but that's a different case. But the right one is never going to go away because you did not make X amount of dollars. That's the kind of thinking of a person who doesn't have emunah. That's a thinking that is appropriate for a secular person, not to a person who is machshiv himself as a adam ma'amin, as a believing person. It doesn't exist. You think again that HaKadosh Baruch Hu would abandon you? Who took care of you in your mother's guts? Who? HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Who is taking care of you every single day? HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's not you. You're creating the opportunity of HaKadosh Baruch Hu to help you. But there are many ways that you could create an opportunity for HaKadosh Baruch Hu to help you. Many different channels. Why are you worried so much? I'm not saying sit down, like smoke ganja all day long and listen to Bob Marley and drink, Jamaican beer and eat jerk chicken, So I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about being in action, doing things and so on and so forth, but not the way you guys do it. You make decisions out of fear. You make decisions out of fear, therefore in real time you're never going to make the right decision. You're always going to make the wrong decision because it is a decision that is based on lack of emunah, not on emunah. And by being active all the time, I'm creating the future, I'm determining my faith, and it always has to be emunah. Rabotai, take a very good look at yourself. It's almost the sunset of the year. Rosh Hashanah comes. Look quickly at what you did this year, how you conducted yourself. Make sure you don't make the same mistakes again next year. Rabotai, working on yourself, it's a hard thing to do. But there's no other way to live life without emunah, without realizing that there is a Kadosh Baruch Hu, and He is the source of all abilities, of all the kochot in the world, not you. Tamim tiyeh Hashem Elokecha. See the beauty in simplicity. Shabbat Shalom.